I believe it's fair to assume that most of us could benefit from having a bit more money, especially when we're working within a tight budget. As I delved into the realms of minimalism and frugal living initially, I found that much of the advice centered solely around practical steps, which were effective, but what I truly needed was a shift in my mindset regarding money. Did I want to be the kind of person who splurged whenever cash was in hand, or did I aspire to make small sacrifices today for a potentially brighter tomorrow? Therefore, today I won't delve into topics like investing or precise figures. Instead, I'll focus on actionable behaviors that have genuinely saved me money, particularly when funds are limited. But before we dive in, if you're new here, I appreciate you dropping by. This channel is all about exploring minimalism, frugal living, motivation, investing, and related topics. So if you resonate with that and find value in this content, please consider giving it a thumbs up and hitting the subscribe button to support the growth of this channel. Let's kick things off by embracing delayed gratification and sticking to a waiting period. This method has been one of my top strategies for steering clear of spontaneous spending while also fostering a sense of discipline to resist impulse purchases. It's become a regular habit for me to let items linger in my wish list or shopping cart for an extended duration before pulling the trigger. I once heard someone mention that the thrill of purchasing something reaches its peak just moments before completing the transaction. So in essence, the desire to buy is fulfilled without actually spending any money. I've previously explored the concept of the 30-day rule, where I deliberately wait for a month-long period before committing to a purchase. This allows ample time to assess whether the item is truly a necessity or merely a desire. This approach mirrors that strategy. Whether you opt for a week or a month of waiting, it presents an ideal opportunity to evaluate your genuine needs, financial capacity, and available space, while also conducting some research on the item itself. As a savvy life hack, I've noticed that occasionally, if I leave an item in my cart for a while, I receive an email containing a discount code for that very item. It's essential to steer clear of triggers, especially for those of us who struggle with willpower, like myself. I've made a conscious effort to avoid activities that tend to ignite my spending tendencies. Take, for instance, the Amazon app that used to be on my phone. Its seamless ordering process made it too easy to indulge. Just a glimpse of a cookie picture on the app was often enough to convince me to make a purchase. Consequently, I've removed it from my phone for some time now. Adding obstacles to make spending less convenient or enjoyable was crucial, because these apps, websites, and stores thrive on making purchases easy and pleasurable. I suggest staying away from situations or environments that might trigger excessive spending. Therefore, consider logging out of Amazon and removing the Starbucks app. Maintaining what I have when it comes to things that I own, and especially the things that I use every single day, is not as careful as I should be. An embarrassing thing I used to do was replace something before even giving it a shot at fixing it. I have a water bottle that is quite old and has been used for a long time, but I washed and painted it so it looks like new and can be used again. I think what actually almost made this fun for me was to challenge myself to see how much use I can actually get out of something that I have before it's completely useless. I've had this Dior shirt for several years now, and if you go back a couple of years in my videos, you can see it was in much better condition. It gets worn legitimately every single day, and it's holding up great. Mind you, I do wash it when it gets dirty, and I've had to mend a tear on the sleeve. After learning about wabi-sabi from another YouTuber, I also learned to appreciate imperfections and the journey an item takes with me. Where a tear or a stain used to bother me, I just see it as part of the ownership now, because it is regularly cleaning out and updating my electronics thoroughly. Cleaning out everything else that I own greatly extends life, thus saving me money. Living within my means is something so simple, but it's also something I often need to be reminded of. I'm not someone who can afford to eat out every single day or own a Mercedes model right now. If I want to achieve my financial goals, I need to be mindful of my spending. That sounds very obvious when it's said, but I've experienced lifestyle inflation every time I started to earn more money. For me, there are two main aspects to living within my means: understanding my income and setting limits. It's essential to comprehend the kind of lifestyle my income allows and how I need to allocate that income to reach my financial goals. Not all of us can afford to live extravagantly, and it's important to recognize that. When I see a new version of something tempting me, I remind myself of this principle. When it comes to being mindful of spending, I've found that it's often been a matter of overcomplication and excessive pondering for me. Simply put, it means being more aware and conscious of where my money goes once it's in my hands. It wasn't just a matter of flipping a switch to become more mindful. Rather, it required a deliberate effort to scrutinize each purchase and plan more meticulously to discern where it's truly justified to spend money and where it isn't. This, of course, varies from person to person. I aim to be intentional in every aspect of my life, considering the things I own, my actions, and my expenditures. Appreciate what you have and be grateful. To wrap up this list, I want to highlight perhaps the most underrated method of saving money, and that's simply practicing gratitude. When I divert my attention from all the temptations to spend money and instead focus on what I already possess, it becomes remarkably easy to feel grateful. This perspective is crucial, especially when new releases make my current belongings seem outdated. Sure, there have been numerous laptop upgrades since I purchased mine a few years ago, but if I momentarily set those aside and focus on what I currently own, I still have a sleek, fully functional computer. There will always be newer and better versions of products, particularly in technology, leading to a perpetual cycle of discontent if I constantly chase the latest upgrades. Instead of constantly seeking the next big thing, take a moment to appreciate what you already have, without comparing it to the latest trends. You might find that doing so brings a little more joy into your life. I hope some of the insights shared today can be as beneficial to you as they have been to me. Remember, building habits upon each other is far more effective than merely picking and choosing the easy ones. This principle is something I need to keep in mind too. Anyway, as always, I genuinely appreciate the time you've spent here, and I'm grateful for your viewership. If you enjoyed this video and find this type of content valuable, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. Until next time,